Viveka Khyatir Hanopaya.
Uninterrupted practice of discrimination between real and unreal is the means to liberation and the cessation of ignorance.
निरंतर अभ्यास से प्राप्त निश्चल और निर्दोष विवेक ज्ञान अज्ञानता का उपाय है.
Who is this Brahman hanging helpless upside down? Believe me, if you look closely, you will recognize him. It all began when the war of the Mahabharata ended. After the terrible, devastating war in Kurukshetra had ended, the battlefield lay silent. But it was not peace, it was a silence of utter destruction and death. 18 Akshauhinis of the finest Kshatriya warriors had perished. Entire kingdoms were left without soldiers. Only the old and the very young remained. And Dhritarashtra, the blind king, the father of 100 sons, the Kauravas, stood in the aftermath, looking at the emptiness, feeling empty. He had once believed his army, his 100 sons, Bhishma, Dronacharya, Karna, would secure his legacy. He had believed they were unbeatable, but now they were all gone. Still, Dhritarashtra needed something to hold on to, some glimmer of hope. So he turned to Vidura. Vidura, though shattered by the war himself, stood grounded. Why? Because he was rooted in dharma, in the truth. While Dhritarashtra clung to illusion, Vidura stood in wisdom. Dhritarashtra asked him, "What should I do now, Vidura? What hope do I hold on to? What do I seek in this world that has taken everything?" And instead of giving a direct answer, Vidura told him a story. A story about a Brahman who was hanging upside down. Before beginning the story, Vidura bowed inwardly to the Almighty. He offered reverence to the Supreme Brahman and to the rishis and sages of eternal wisdom. And then he started to speak. He said, "Once there was a Brahman, a seeker, who entered a dense, dangerous forest. This forest wasn't just wild, it was terrifying. Lions roared, wild elephants thundered through the trees. Snakes slithered unseen and deadly. It was the kind of place, Vidura said, that even Yama, the god of death, would hesitate to walk into. The Brahman, filled with fear, looked around and saw even more horrors. There were no paths, there was no shelter. Everywhere he looked, his fear only grew more. Desperate, he started to run, blindly, frantically, trying to escape. But no matter where he went, the dangers followed. He could not outrun any of the dangers. And then he realized the forest was surrounded by a massive net. There was no way out. As he stumbled forward, he then saw her, a huge, frightening woman with arms outstretched. She was waiting and coming towards him, and there was no escaping her. He was running through the thick undergrowth with grass and plants and creepers, and without realizing, he had stepped on a well which was covered with creepers and grass. And he fell through, but he was caught by the vines that were there, and he was suspended in midair, hanging upside down, like a fruit from a tree, tangled, held by the vines and creepers, and completely helpless. And below him there was sure death. A terrible snake waited with his jaws wide open. He was terrified. He looked up and around, and things only got worse. At the edge of the well was a huge black elephant, and it had 6 faces, 12 legs, and it walked slowly in circles around the well, inching closer to him. And then he heard a strange buzzing. It was coming from high above, and he saw giant bees swarming around massive honeycombs hanging from trees right above him. Before I continue, let me tell you that these stories that I bring to you come from belief, folklore, and tradition. Some from ancient holy texts, others that have been retold over time. My aim is to share the magic, not to do a scholarly debate on manuscripts. Listen with your heart and immerse yourself in the small corner of spirituality and wonder. a refuge from an online world that often feels too materialistic and harsh. These bees were bees that stung, they were giant and they swarmed. But the honey they guarded was incredibly sweet. Every now and then, the overloaded combs burst and streams of honey dripped down. And some drops landed right into the Brahman's mouth. And he realized they were really sweet. Despite everything, the well, the snake, the wild animals, the terrifying woman, the bees, the elephant, the Brahman felt that he might hang on to life. Because the honey, it tasted so good, it was so pleasurable. He wanted more and more. Even though he was moments away from death, all he could think about was the next drop of honey. And then in the middle of all this, he noticed that the vine that was holding him, it wasn't actually very strong. It was kind of fragile. And to make matters worse, there were large rats colored black and white that were gnawing at it, incessantly cutting away the only thread that kept him from falling. Yet, even with all this, the Brahmin kept hoping for just one more drop of honey. Would he get it? How will it taste? If only he could get another drop, it would be so satisfying. However, after every bit of honey he tasted, he was far from satisfied. He went on deluding himself with the honey, blinding himself to the fact that his life hung precariously, surrounded by dangers, and he should think about that instead of the honey that may come his way. When Vidura ended this story, Dhritarashtra was stunned. He asked, Vidura, where is this dreadful place? Can that Brahmin escape? And why is he even enjoying the honey? Vidura, realizing and seeing that Dhritarashtra, the blind king, had missed the point completely, he started to explain. This story, O king, is a parable. It is actually a map of our lives. The forest is this world we live in. It is wild, unpredictable, full of hidden dangers. The terrifying animals, those are the diseases and misfortunes that chase us. The giant woman, she is old age. No one can escape her. The well, which is like a big pit, is the fragile human body. The vine that holds the Brahman is our attachment to life itself. The snake at the bottom is time or kala, always waiting. The six-faced, 12-legged elephant, that is the year. The 6 faces are the seasons, the 12 legs are the months. And the black and white rats, they are day and night, eating away at our lifespan. And the honey is pleasure, fleeting, addictive. It is a taste of desire fulfilled. Despite all the danger, all the signs, all the truths that we know, we still remain distracted by temporary sweetness and pleasures. We want more, we want pleasure, we want escape. But what we actually need is awareness, self-knowledge, realization. And that's how Vidura ended this amazing story about the Brahman who was hanging upside down. And even though it's a parable from the Mahabharata, there is lots we can learn from it even today. In every stage of our life, our desires change, but our attachment remains. As children, we want those toys, we love them. As youth, we forget about those toys, which is beauty, lust, validation. In our 30s and 40s, we run after success and power. And by the time we are older, even if desires remain, the body cannot fulfill them. In our 70s and 80s, we may have some desires, but the body has given up and we cannot fulfill them. Like the Brahman, we are surrounded by danger and we are too busy tasting honey to notice it. We work ourselves to exhaustion for a raise, for attention, for social status, chasing fleeting pleasures while the vine grows thinner and the rats keep chewing. But if our desires are aligned with dharma, if we live with awareness, intention and truth, then even the forest becomes a path. Even the honey becomes wisdom, and we can begin the journey not into illusion, but into liberation. So ask yourself, are you chasing honey while hanging over a pit? Or are you ready to see and seek the truth that will free you from delusion? Because the moment you choose awareness over indulgence, you don't just escape the forest, you discover the true path home. A path lit by dharma, walked with courage and leading not to fear, but to freedom.
बड़ा हुआ तो क्या हुआ, जैसे पेड़ खजूर, बड़ा हुआ तो क्या हुआ, जैसे पेड़ खजूर। पंछी को छाया नहीं, पंछी को छाया नहीं, फल लागे अति दूर, फल लागे अति दूर।